Chelsea have won the most points in the Premier League since the start of May. They entered into the 24-25 season with a lot of negative media. They endured criticisms about squad planning, selling academy players for profits, and the owners just not caring about the club. In their first game of the 24-25 season, which was a loss against Man City, Chelsea fans booed their own team and morale was low before the season even began. Now, fans are cheering, and Chelsea's chaotic transfer window is suddenly starting to make a lot of sense. Their attack is sharper than it was last season, with Cole Palmer matching and setting records, and their defence is getting better, with Levi Colwill proving himself a leader at the back. So, how are Chelsea turning it around? Well, this new system wants Chelsea to attack, and it requires that their attackers be great in 1v1 situations. Palmer, Sancho on loan from United, Felix, who Chelsea signed from Atletico, Madueke, and their striker Nicholas Jackson are brilliant in one-on-one situations. Some of these players are even key to how Chelsea handle the pressing aspect of Maresca's tactics. Pressing is a key part of how Maresca wants his team to play. Maresca uses his pressing in two ways. There's a defensive aspect, which is used to prevent the opponents from being able to attack with the ball, and the other side is the offensive aspect. When Chelsea press, they do so to deal with in Europe's top 5 leagues. His performances have been so crucial to Chelsea that we've made a video on him that you can check out here. Brighton Football Club underestimated Chelsea when they played them, and they were unpleasantly surprised. Now, while people inevitably focus on Cole Palmer scoring a historic 4 first-half goals and a completely dominating performance, their new style of play under Enzo Maresca played a huge part too. Under Maresca, instead of the chaos ball they played under Mauricio Pochettino, Chelsea tried to control the game. Since he became head coach, Maresca has used the 4-2-3-1 formation for Chelsea, just like Pochettino did, but this is a bit different. Maresca's formation changes when the match begins, depending on the action Chelsea are taking. So when Chelsea are building up and are with the ball, the formation becomes a 3-2-5. One of the fullbacks inverts into the midfield, and the other central midfielder joins the attacking midfield up the field. Sometimes Chelsea's goalkeeper will come off his line to serve as the fourth player in build-up to allow the remaining defenders to stretch and better be able to bait the opposition's press. Chelsea build up this way to create an overload in the forward areas of the pitch so that they can overwhelm their opponents. When they can, they patiently play up their way to the front in a slow and controlled manner. The intention is to keep the ball until they get to the opponent's dangerous areas. However, Maresca has shown he isn't as stubborn as some people would say. He matches his team according to how the opponents play. So in Chelsea's game against Barrow, he had his fullbacks at different times operate as advanced midfielders so he could deal with Barrow's low block and 5 defenders. And it worked. Against Brighton and West Ham, Maresca didn't have Chelsea slowly build up. They changed their tactics to take advantage of the spaces their opponents had left in behind with crisp passing over the top or through balls. This is an area that Cole Palmer, Moises deserves to start. Madueke has to score more or create more, especially since fans have the feeling that since his hat-trick, he's kind of been trying to be a hero. Do you think this is true? It looks like he and Maresca might soon have a problem, as Maresca may have subtly criticised Madueke while praising Palmer. When saying that young players usually have one good game and then relax, but Cole doesn't do that, he keeps striving, Maresca said. Now, Chelsea have even recruited some more incredible talent for their forward positions. They'd signed striker Marc Guiu from Barcelona, João Felix from Atletico Madrid, Pedro Neto from Wolves, and Jadon Sancho on loan from Manchester United. These players and their different skill sets all have one thing in common. They're technically secure on their ball, and they fit Chelsea's new style perfectly, especially as Maresca loves forward players who are good in 1v1 situations. This is why Sancho is now looking like number 1 on the starting lineup, ahead of Mykhailo Mudryk. When Sancho was at Dortmund, he was a crazy dribbler, and he seems to have rediscovered these boots at Chelsea. In his first game against Bournemouth, he attempted 4 dribbles and completed 2, and in his third game against Brighton, Sancho attempted 9 dribbles and completed 7. I mean, somebody pinched Chelsea fans. Is Sancho the new Hazard? Sancho didn't limit his performances to dribbling, though. He's also found his creative side and has been creating chances as well as providing assists. João Felix and Pedro Neto have not hit incredible heights for Chelsea like the other attackers. The two are decent dribblers and they fit what Maresca wants to play. However, they need to step up their game. Even without them not being amazing yet for Chelsea, Chelsea are already a scary, high goal scoring side. So what happens when these other new guys find their form? Is the Premier League even ready for this explosion? Now, the attack isn't the only dangerous area for Chelsea. Their midfield is stacked with the likes of new signing central midfielder Kiernan Jodd 96 times. He's even created 4 chances and produced an assist. Him and Enzo Fernandez are forming a partnership in this regard. The assist that Caicedo has had this season came against West Ham, and it came from an Enzo pass, which totally took West Ham by surprise. Enzo is currently at the top of under-23 midfielders with passes to the final third at 45 passes. His passes are crisp and his chance creation is excellent, but his defensive awareness does need to be worked on. The same goes for Caicedo. The duo have at times not offered enough protection in the midfield to shield the defence. They allow opponents to play a bit easily through them at times, as they lose the ball in dangerous areas or fail to block crucial space. Now, this doesn't mean they aren't good players, and they make up for their occasional lapses in defensive awareness by helping the team keep an attacking momentum. Still, Enzo has to do more for Chelsea, especially when it comes to dictating tempo in a match. Like Mauricio Pochettino, Enzo Maresca struggled for what would be Fernandez's position. As a holding midfielder, Fernandez doesn't offer that much defensive protection. As an attacking midfielder, he finds himself unable to affect the match, so it was a puzzle. But eventually, it seems Maresca has found the role for Enzo. He believes he could play in a box-to-box position, like Gundogan for Man City or Declan Rice for Arsenal. City used Gundogan in the past. In our case, we're trying to find the balance and find the solution. At the moment, Enzo is the only one when we have the ball playing like an attacking midfielder and off the ball dropping off with Moy to find the defensive balance. In his first season for Chelsea after that epic 2022 January transfer saga, Enzo performed impressively, but he has since dropped off from that level that he displayed when Chelsea first signed him. True, he had to play through pain for most part of the season, but still he can be better. And since the 24-25 season began, Enzo has been brighter. He's created 6 chances this season and has gotten into scoring positions. However, these stats could be better, and he has to work on the defensive phase of his game. Tactics were undone in the second half of the season. Leicester began to concede more goals and also lost a considerable number of matches. When fans showed frustration, Maresca said, "Probably people think it's easy to win games, but it's not easy," he said. "You can feel the fans when they're not happy. Probably some people take some things for granted, but it's not like this. I arrived at this club to play with this idea. The moment there is some doubt about the idea, the day after, I will leave. It's so clear. No doubts." Under him in the second half of the season, Leicester's points per game dropped to 1.46. This state was bad for a coach that was coming to Chelsea, who were just finding their feet. However, maybe what scared Chelsea fans the most was Leicester's defensive record under Maresca. So under Maresca, Leicester conceded the fewest number of goals against championship teams, which is great, but anytime Leicester came up against Premier League teams last season in the Cups, they were humiliated. Chelsea registered more XG against Leicester than they did against any other team. So Chelsea fans were worried that their defence, which was hardly stable yet, would then become worse under Maresca. Now, were they right to be worried? Well, Chelsea aren't Leicester City. They have Marc Cucurella, who was shaky in the beginning of the 23-24 season, but managed to turn it around, playing his heart out and leaving everything on the pitch when he played, and ended the season on a very strong note at the Euros. So far, in the 24-25 season, Cucurella's overall stats under Maresca have massively improved. As of the start, he's more front-footed and likes to get the tackles in. When he misses his tackles, Fofana relies on his speed to make recovery runs. It can be difficult playing against Fofana, but he can be rash at times with how he tackles and defends. This is why Colwill is the best partner for him. Colwill doesn't rush into tackles, but calmly waits for the attackers to come to him, where he can either intercept a pass or use his long legs to place a well-timed tackle, steal the ball, and then calmly pass or even begin a counter. He's a bit like Virgil van Dijk in this aspect, and it's not surprising that Liverpool were eyeing him up in the 23-24 transfer window. The two looked solid, but as the season began, it became clear that they are far from there yet. Still, they're a work in progress, and they need the support from Caicedo and Enzo, just like they did during the second half of their game against Brighton at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea became a